Hello and welcome to another anime lore video and to my little take on Mushuko Tensei and why Rudy needs to be a scum and sleazebag. But before we explore the depths of one of the most iconic main characters in all of anime, for he is the OG isekai protagonist, let me quickly say thanks to all of my Patreons for supporting this channel, as well as say thank you to all users of the YouTube thanks function who made one-time donations. And now with that said, let's get back to the topic at hand and to our protagonist. And Rudeus is Scum. Not in the fun way Kazuma usually is, but in the creepy, yeah, I'm watching that kind of anime way. Rudeus, while serving as the template isekai guy, starting the trope of saving someone innocent by sacrificing himself before being transported to another world by the now iconic isekai taxi known as Truck-Kun, Rudeus is no Kirito. While Kirito is a blank and somewhat cool-looking husk for the viewer's own ambitions, goals and power fantasies to be inhabited, Rudeus is more of a mirror for the audience. Not necessarily in the way that he's a creepy, obese and unashamed pervert, even though our anime community has these tendencies, but in the sense that he is a deeply flawed, and therefore not a simple two-dimensional character, and that there's no quick and easy way to fix his flaws. While Kirito is a projection, Rudeus reflects problems many struggle with, albeit not to that degree. We all carry some emotional baggage with us. Because we all carry some emotional baggage with us, we all struggle with some sort of self-indulgence. And since we all just recently have spent more than just a few extra days in our homes, we might also look closer to him than we like to. But that's the point. While almost every isekai protagonist is fighting some sort of outside force, and while they usually don't struggle with their inside, Einzelgon being the rare exception, because he is about the only protagonist who struggles more with his innermost thoughts and feelings, with relationships and issues of belonging, than with physical fights and life and death battles, Rudeus is actually doing both. He carries, from years and years of bullying and abuse, a deep trauma with him, a trauma completely unresolved in his past life. But even if it isn't his fault to be plunged into the dirt, it was well and truly his duty, and therefore his fault, that he stayed down there, because he never made any attempts of actually getting up in his past life. And while he needed years and a loving family and a teacher to actually overcome the most inhibiting parts of his trauma, namely not being able to leave the house in well over a decade, and being lazy and unemployed, all of these things were forced upon him, either by Roxy taking him for a ride, by his father, Paul Greyrat, who had essentially captured Rudy like a Pokemon before shipping him off to Tuja Aris, or by the Mana disaster, putting him on a desert continent, forcing him to overcome challenges and to adapt to this change, forcing him to grow. But all of these things had been external forces. Despite more than a decade of time spent in the new world, and being removed from his past life, as evident by his mental projections, he is still very much the same flawed, unmotivated and inert guy, and all of his passion for magic, all of his experiences, could at least initially not stop him from falling prey to the same old self-destructive behavior loop that trapped him for well over a decade. And it was not magic, nor friends, nor being kicked out of the place to stay that forced Rudy's hand. For the first time in his life, he wasn't moved by external events, but he moved himself. While he couldn't muster the energy and will to leave his room during his many years of isolation and hikikomoridom, despite all he had to do was to go downstairs and to interact with his parents, Rudy, at the end of the first season's second part, is now off to search the entire world for his mother, which, to quote a SpongeBob reference, is like searching for the hay in a needle stack. It had taken him more than a decade to finally do the hardest part of his internal battle, to motivate himself to do something, no matter how hard or unpleasant it will be. And don't get me wrong, he still isn't a good or a flawless guy. He still carries a lot of baggage, but finally he gets up instead of being picked up. Rudy isn't the anime protagonist we want, but one we deserve and frankly need. And it's interesting that this anime was especially controversial in, for example, China, where movements such as lay flat and let it rot are picking up steam, where resignation and apathy are spreading perhaps even more so than in the West. With all of the external crises we face, with all of the rising cost of living and the feeling that it is getting more and more hopeless, ever since the of Tarambe, we, at least in my opinion, can identify with Rudeus to a rather uncomfortable degree. And nonetheless, we too have to rise to these challenges, not because they're easy, but because they are hard. And we need to do this by ourselves. And with that said, I say thank you very much for watching. Be sure to leave your opinion down in the comment section. And while you're writing, I'm saying special thanks to Arder Daddy Arder, Bad Guy Yi, Bad Burrito 316, Beezer, Ben C, Brandon D, Chrissy, Crowley 0221, Sia, Crystal Prime, Dead Slime, Death is Mercy, Deathless Dragonlord, Demon Xenomorph 1987, Devin Downen, Ding Dong, Duckwagon, Dunkler Krieger, Dystopia, Dystopia II, Enigmatic Unicorn, Firajivan, Guy with That Head, Hector Marino, Hoss, Huster, Jacob G, Jana B, Jason, J. Morris, Chromius, Kyle R, Lee K. Long, Legendarius, Lelouch Britannia with Mustache, Lexus Fox, Lord Nishikian Rai, Lord Touch Me, Loverazor, Merovec, Mr. Shoes, Mr. Tweaker, Michael R, Michael Y, Nope, Oh Hell No, Normal Toad, O-Kill, Overlord General Gasper, Paddy Pantom, Personage, Primus 11, Rhinomere, Q&A Caracos P, Shergox's Daddy, Shadow Lightning Wolf, Shrine Keeper, Super Tier Magic Batista Bomb, Supreme Cheese, Staris, Ted, Texas Deer, The Orc Warboss, Rocket Smasher, T.E. Wang, Vash Hawkeye, Vegito 27, Venture Fanatic, Wilhelm, Xenokai, and Zonegon. Thanks guys. Anyway, have a nice day, and I hope to see you all again soon on my next video.